All right, everyone, good morning and welcome to Nashville Superspeedway. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's media availabilities. We are now joined by Ross Chastain, driver of the #1 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. We'll go right into questions for Ross. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. Who'd like to start us off? Start here in the middle.
Good morning, Ross. Jeff Hood from RacingToday.com. You're still looking for your first win this year, but let me just ask you this. How do you feel about the speed in your #1 car each week?
I feel really good. I feel the continual evolution of the car as the whole garage continues to find ways to take the same piece that we started with last year and make it faster and handle a little bit better and a little more forgiving. I feel like we're on the leading edge of that, and that showed yesterday. One of the few times we're looking at a 50-minute practice, you're ready for our guys to thrash and make big changes, and then we go. Hello. Look, we go out and we plan on making a nice little 20-lap run if it's good. If not, we'll stop and work on it. And we ran 20, and then we ran until the caution came out. We were going to run 30. That was a good sign. We didn't have to change much. So we're unloading really close. It's just those fine details, and we're tuning on it. So I feel good, really good.
All right, let's come up to Bob and then up to the left.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. For a watermelon farmer, what's it going to be like to drive through the city of Chicago in a race car?
It's going to be new. It's new. It's totally different. So, not like the roads in Alva for sure, but it's a way to move the needle with our sport. And I think over 3/4 of the tickets already sold are new fans, and I'm sure a lot of people are just going to walk up when they hear the engines fire up. I think there's signs all over town, so they'll at least know about it. And then when we go roaring down through there, it's going to be just so many new fans. So I'm bought in. It doesn't matter for me how my personal race goes or weekend goes. I could very easily auger it into the tire barriers about every corner if I'm not careful. So I've done that on the simulator quite a bit. You miss the brake zone by just a few feet, and there's no runoff. So, I'm not really worried about. I mean, yes, I want points and I want to win, but I'm more looking at it from the big picture of the us as a whole. And if it elevates all of us, then it'll pay off for me in the long run.
Hey, Ross, Stephen Boero from the Sports Credential. Third year here at the Superspeedway. Practice yesterday. How did the track feel? How did your car feel? And what are you looking for going into qualifying later this afternoon?
It felt just as unique as I remembered it. This place is unlike any other. And when I go down the straightaways, I feel like I'm at 1.5 miles, and then I get to the corner and I brake like I'm at a short track, like I'm braking for the corner, and overdriving. Like I have to consciously get myself to slow down early enough, and slower on entry really is faster. So, I don't feel great making laps, and then we're quick, and we show good in all measurable aspects, and the car's really not doing anything too crazy, but it just doesn't feel good because there's so little banking and such tight corners. It's not pleasant like to drive as a I feel like I'm not hustling it because you're on a flatter track, even though to me the way it's laid out, the garages, media center, it's a 1.5 mile footprint shrunk, and so every lap I have to consciously remind myself of that. I'm ready to hustle it like I'm at Kansas.
All right, let's go to Kelly and then Holly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Ross, Justin made those very public remarks after Darlington. Is it a coincidence that since then there seems to be the Ross Chastain that was pre-Darlington, and maybe from the outside looking in, you've been a little more conservative since then?
Well, I think it's exactly that. It is the outside, and what we do at Trackhouse and say and talk about and plan for is what's so cool about sports is that we're enclosed in our own world of 140 men and women, and it's up to us to go about our business however we see fit. So I'm definitely going to learn from Darlington. I don't want to wreck myself. I want to win races, and whatever I can do to wreck less and win more will definitely be top of mind and priority. So I take what people say to heart, though, especially my boss, my owner, like the guy that hires me and guides me. He's a racer himself, so we've talked as just racers and buddies just as much as we've talked as owner and driver. So people can think what they want. I know what our path has been, is currently, and what we're planning, and I'm totally comfortable in the spot we're in.
Can you share then just what it's been like the last couple weeks? Are you trying to find maybe a different rhythm or different way to approach things on the racetrack? Like, are you conscious now maybe more about that during these races of what you're trying to do and how you're racing?
I'm trying to find victory lane. I found it. It's right here. I was there last night with Carson Hocevar. I got to get back myself. So, yep, that's all we're trying to find.
Go to Holly and then to Dustin.
Hey Ross, Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. Kind of along those lines, but you are high up in points, and I understand you want to win every race you compete in. I get that, but you are high enough up in points. Is there a little bit of that kind of gives you some comfort anyway? And if not, are there certain tracks that you really feel optimistic about scoring the win in between now and the playoffs starting?
Right. Chicago's a huge question mark, so I don't really know where to rank that one, even though we've been really good on road courses. No, there's none that I really put above the others. Gateway, we just weren't that good in the race, but I thought if we were slotted in 10th, we could run 10th after a restart. It was just, I got kind of beat up on restarts, and it's just part of it. There's none that I really hold any higher than the others. Like, with this car, it's the same car every week. Like, we literally changed like a few settings of the geometry, the body. But I mean, it's so small you can't even see the difference. Where the old car or any other race car, you bring it to a super speedway, you can tell in the fenders and the body lines and the way the car sits. It's built for Daytona, and then when you take it to Martinsville, you can tell it's a totally different built race car. Ours look the same to me. I can't see the differences. So with that, there's just there's no tracks that it shrunk the window for highs and lows of tracks that seem to be better or worse because we're running truly the same car. I don't have any higher or lower really. I want to grab and scrap and pick up any points anybody drops any time and all the time. The most points will be better. But no, we want to win, and that's the focus. That is the goal. That is the objective, and that's where our sights are set.
Go to Dustin and then over here to Lee.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Ross, can you give me a sense of perspective next week at Chicago? You're going to have 50 minutes of practice, but a lot of people expect that there'll be multiple cautions potentially in the practice session. So you're going to have limited time, maybe you get 2 or 3 runs, if that. And then when you go to qualify, you're going to have to, after what limited time you've had on a track you're not as familiar with, bust out a really strong lap because track position is going to matter. I know you guys do some superhuman things behind the car at times, and maybe we don't always appreciate that. What kind of a challenge when you get in the car for qualifying next week, if those things happen, and how nerve-wracking or how much do you embrace that opportunity for a big moment? Because it seems like that's a moment where a driver can really shine in an uncomfortable situation, or if they go too far over the edge, now you're starting 25th, and you're probably hurting your chances for much in the race.
That's NASCAR racing. That's every week. That's what's so cool about this series and this level, is there's so much pressure involved with everything. I don't. I do wish that we did focus more on the cool factor of the driving the car and like how on edge we are. You see, a champion of our sport spin out in practice yesterday. Just you watch the end car, it looks innocent all the way to the point it snaps, and we're all on that edge, and we're fighting that every lap, especially with the bump down in turn 4 here at Nashville. So, there's one big bump here. There's 12 corners, and I don't know how many. We have no idea at Chicago. They've repaved some, but we've all driven on repaved roads. Sometimes it's worse than it used to be. So I have no idea what to expect. But yeah, we go out and it's going to be who can learn the fastest. We're all logging laps in our simulators, but until you actually get on this surface, we don't even have the most accurate, renderings and for the walls, because it's going to be evolving as they put them in. So a big ask of the operations team building the track, because they're figuring it out as they go. A lot of times I wish this room could ride with me physically in the car, because it's incredible what's happening in there. And I remember growing up just watching and viewing these drivers as, these larger than life figures, because you see the car. If you can ever see the car wiggle, it's crazy inside for the driver. And if you were in there, you would feel it. So more two-seaters need to be available to give rides. And when we do that, I'll gladly sign up to drive everybody in this room around these tracks.
Also, 5, 6, 7 years ago, as you're trying to work your way up into NASCAR, obviously the schedule was always kind of set in a way it was. But the idea now that a few years later that you've driven it inside a stadium, you've driven on a cup car on a dirt track, you've driven at North Wilkesboro, now you're going to be driving in a street course. The idea of that concept and how quickly things have changed, what kind of comes to mind in terms of, you're in a completely different era than what you were 5 years ago, what you thought you might be if you reach this level. What is this like in the challenge of these different types of tracks?
Yeah, I'll have to quote one of my guys, David, when we got the 42 car in 2021. We were super excited, and then we happened to be on the phone one day, and we looked at the schedule together, and he's like, "There's 7 road course races? I didn't know this. Why'd we sign up to drive a cup car the first time there's 7 when there was always 2? And we were honestly a little scared, and I had to go to school and keep going. I still go to school to learn. It is what it is. I wanted to be a cup driver. I sacrificed a lot to get here, and whatever it means to be a cup driver, I want to be that. And this level, this garage, I want to be in there with, the other teams and competing at this level. This is all I've wanted. So, wherever we go, we'll go across the world. Doesn't really bother me. I signed up for this, and I'm here for it.
All right, we're going to take one final question from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Ross, I saw you after Sonoma. You were elated, top 10 finish. You have 2 top 5s here. What are your expectations for Sunday?
After driving the rocket ship I had yesterday in practice, high. We'll have a shot. We'll be able to go, and wherever we qualify, we'll be able to race throughout tomorrow night's race and put ourselves in position. Expectations are to go compete. We have fast cars. We have good support. Trying to tie up all the little loose ends and put ourselves just we just want a shot. That's it. So it's going to come down to restarts throughout stage 3 and adjusting our car throughout the night. I feel like that's been a bit where I've struggled. I feel like when we've been better throughout the weekend or early in the race, I get kind of complacent because I'm not sure what to tell them. I'm pushing the car. I have good balance, and then somebody nails their balance. It's been a little bit slower, and then they've nailed it because they kept firing changes at it. And I'm a little more reserved in my desire. As long as it's close, I'll go I'll go get the rest. But at this level, at the end of these races, it's got to be pretty darn perfect. So I feel like we've been beat there. So I've worked on, just mentally, how do I push myself past where I'm comfortable with the car? I feel like I've got everything I need to go win, but there's probably something else I could ask for to make it a little bit better. And the risk is it could be worse, but let's work on it, whether it's air pressure or wedge. And our options are pretty small in the race. So what I'm looking for is those small little crumbs at the end of the race to be able to go fight for it.
And with the Josh Berry news this week, you're another guy, what Tony Stewart said that he's looking for in a driver, somebody with work ethic, and you really didn't get your first shot till at 28 when you got with a big team, and, you've made the most of it since. And does work ethic still matter in the garage? You still have to, pay dues, show that you're willing to commit and be that guy.
So happy for Josh. I hate that we're going to lose him at GM. I'm not going to get to go to the gym in the morning and see him next year. But, gosh, as this was coming along and just being friendly and Josh and I are just friends, it's been so cool to, see his emotion as it's came through and gotten done. There was times where, I could tell he was working out a little extra because that carrot was out there, and it's everything he's ever wanted and worked for, professionally, I think, and then same with me. It's just in my life, this is what we wanted. So I'm glad I'm sad I'm gonna have to race against him, but I'm happy just for the guy and his family. So what the owners look at, I'm not sure. I don't, I'm not a race team owner, so I don't even begin to think that I understand how their brains work because I don't own race cars. I drive them. So just everybody had to pay something. Everybody had to write a check. The amount might be 1 or 2 zeros different, but it's the dark side of our sport that not a lot of people like to talk about, but yes, I had to spend money my family had to spend money to get me into the sport. And somebody had to pay for every driver that's racing a car anywhere. I don't care if you're running a rental go-kart race, the $20 for the 10 minutes you run in a rental go-kart, you have to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for it, whether it's that to the Cup Series. Yes, Josh had, I don't know the details. I don't know everybody's details, but I know mine. Yes, we had to spend money. I'm not going to hide from that. I've been able to pay that back now, and I'm proud of that. It shouldn't have worked out, but the thought that people are here on $0 is not. It's not true. It's not. Whether it was truly you or your family or somebody that was like family, they had to be like family if they were going to spend the money it takes to get into any kind of racing. You race locally, late models these days. It's a lot of money, and it's the dark side of our sport that I live in it. I work in it. I'm in the trenches on it for me and other people, trying to figure out how to pay for this stuff. But I'm not a sponsor finder. I don't want people to think that. I don't find money for anybody. But the dark side is everybody pays. It's just a matter of does it pay off. So.
All right, apologies we didn't get to everyone's questions. Ross, thanks for coming in. Good luck today in qualifying and tomorrow in the race.
Always. Every week. They're coming from Georgia right now. Mr. Roy, our truck driver, he brings it. So, yep. Yeah. Georgia watermelon right now.